Hello and welcome to Conscious Creation. I am your teacher and guide, Lisa, and I am truly grateful for you joining me today. For today's learning session, we are going to be looking at the equally valuable, important role that both mindset and emotional state play in the conscious creation process. Now, I gotta be real with you. Whether you're consciously creating or you're just living life, we are actually always in the creation process in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes many little ones and sometimes very long, big ones, but we are always in a state of change and we are always in a state of creation. And the mind and the emotions play a huge role in what we create. And therefore, being conscious as a creator and being conscious of the role of our mind and the conscious of our role of our emotions and how they work together. These are not separate entities that are working against you and pulling you in a million directions. These are two amazing systems that are a part of you that are meant to be working for you and meant to work together for your greatest good. And that's what's really awesome about it. It's when we start to understand the role the mind plays and the role that the emotions play and how they work together, then we can move through the creation process with far greater ease, understanding, and time, like much less time, which is always great. So the first thing that I like to look at when it comes to mindset is we know this has been started to be talked about a little more mainstream about the importance of mindset, and that when we choose to think of the thoughts that we're thinking and make sure that they're ones we want to think, and we consciously choose certain new thoughts that we would like to bring to us and use our mind as the tool it's meant to be, then we can actually use it quite well in the creation process, because it is one whole part that is very, very important in actually creating. So it is the active component. The mind is always active. When you think about it, it is always talking, it is always thinking, there is always something, for the most part, going on in there. And so when you become conscious of the thoughts you are thinking and the words that are being said, you become aware of whether these thoughts are helping you or not. So I always think of it as like it is the active component in the process, and therefore you are the active component with your mind, the you, soul, spark, spirit within you, who has a mind that's meant to work for it. You play an active role in ensuring that the thoughts that you are thinking are ones that you feel are truly serving you. And so how do you know? Well, you know, because there is a passive response. So the emotional state is passive. It happens internally. This tends to be external. These thoughts are coming out. It's in the etherical, right? This is the cerebral realm. So it hasn't manifested physically until you start to feel something about it. So oftentimes we become aware that we're thinking maybe some thoughts that are really not serving us because we start to feel not so good, or we start to feel like agitated, or we start to feel depressed, or we start to feel scared of the future, right? So we have an emotional response or reaction to what the mind is putting out. And so they work together, as in, like, I almost think of it as like echolocation. This is an active that goes out. This is a passive that comes in, right? So we get a response to the type of thoughts that we're thinking. And those responses are emotional in nature, and sometimes they lead to action. So I also think of my own response to a thought that I don't like. I know I need to take an active approach. I need to stand up to that thought and be like, okay, enough, stop. I don't want to think this. I want to think about this. And let's say it's I'm thinking about, the future, and I'm worried about, let's say, like money. So my mind starts thinking about all these thoughts, and I don't realize it, but I'm starting to have negative thoughts that are based in like fear. And so I know what I'm thinking because I can feel in my body that I'm closing down. I'm getting scared. I'm feeling heavier. I'm feeling weighed down. And so I know I need to actively confront this thought, and I need to say to it, okay, stop. I don't want to think about that. I want to focus on my abundance. Look at how blessed I am. Look at this beautiful day. And I will purposely take my focus, and I will take control as the soul spark spirit in me of my thoughts, and choose to stop the thoughts I don't want and to reinforce and bring forward the thoughts that I do want, so that I'm changing my perspective, I'm changing my focus, and I'm doing it intentionally because I want my mind to work for me. Now, when it comes to my emotions, I have to take a different response. When I can feel an emotion building up and it's in connection, so let's go with that same one of feeling anxious about the future when it comes to money, right? I know I need to take a passive approach. Once I've settled the mind and I've made it clear what we're going to be thinking about, I then can turn my attention to the emotional state, and I can take a passive approach of really feeling into, like, where is this feeling coming from, right? There is somewhere in me that must still connect to a feeling of being unsure about the future. And so I need to tap into that and take a very passive approach so that I can find that emotion in me and I can offer it reassurance. I can offer it kindness. I can offer it care. So, I don't mean this is in any genders or stereotypes, but I'm just simply speaking of it in terms of like the way energies feel, in a way that you, hopefully as an audience, can interpret what I'm saying to understand it. It's not black or white. It's just an expression of a way to understand it. So the way I could think of this as is this could be like that father. So the child's feeling lost and unsure. The father can come in and be like, you can do this. I believe in you, find your goals and go forward, right? It's a very like encouraging, strong, forward, don't get lost in this, go, right? Whereas this is much more of that mother, that listening, that reassurance, that understanding, right? It's like, can we give our emotions the care that they need to just feel seen and heard? Because often that's the key to an emotion. It just needs to be acknowledged, seen and heard, to then be reassured and brought back in line with, but don't worry, like, we got this, we are abundant already. Look at the abundance all around us. We can do this, right? It becomes a reassurance. And so we need to take a listening approach to our emotions and ensure that we are giving them the time and care that they need. Because the other thing about the mind is it is always very active and kind of is always the one that we're paying attention to. So when our emotions speak, oftentimes we don't hear them until they are feeling to us out of control or feeling really uncomfortable. Whereas when we realize the value and importance of them, then we start to tune in much sooner. And therefore, we can offer that reassurance, that understanding sooner, so that it doesn't have to get to a point that it feels out of control. It is acknowledged much sooner. And it's important because our emotions are always communicating something to us, and it's communicating something that is connected to our soul. It is spirit through the physical communicating to us. This is spirit through the etherical communicating with us. This is soul communicating to us. So both are equally valuable in their communications. The thing is that this is very much connected to the soul spark spirit that is you within you. So your emotions are actually helping you know whether you're aligning to your greatest good and to what is for your greatest good and in line with unconditional love, and what is not. So the worse you feel, the more out of line you are. The better you feel, and this is like this is about a state. We always have ups and downs, we can have reactions and emotions, right? We're talking about the consistency, the consistent emotion that we feel regularly, right? And then working through when a strong emotion comes up, recognizing that it just needs to be listened to. We don't take action on it. We interpret it. We create understanding with it so that we can go forward with the wisdom of that emotion plus the wisdom of our thoughts, right? And so honestly, the biggest key to this is the fact that they are both meant to work for you. This is, you can tell what to do. This is, you listen. So one is about talking, one is about listening. One is about giving, one is about receiving. Ebb and flow, back and forth, bringing these two into balance. They are communicating with each other for you, right? You are the driver. You are the person who is in charge. You are the one who decides the thoughts. You are the one that interprets the emotions. And you're the one who uses both sets of information to do what is for your greatest good and in line with your soul spark journey's mission to be here. And that is for you to live your best version of this life, which only you could ever know, because it is your journey. It is your soul's expression, right? In this lifetime. And to be in the physical, right? It feels really hard. And that's why emotions is quite difficult, because moving things through the physical realm, the emotional realm, does take more time and it does take more care. But it's also why getting to be human and get to be here is so special, because the density that is this planet means that we get to feel unconditional love in the physical. And you can feel that, because that moment when it happens, your whole heart feels open, your whole body feels open, you feel light, you feel connected. And that's like the representation of feeling unconditional love in physical form, whether that's with another person, with yourself, with an animal, with nature, like it's that feeling. And you can only have that type of experience by being here. So the idea is, can we learn our own systems well enough that we can create a state that we enjoy being in most of the time? And when we are not in that state and we're in a wobble, can we actively participate in it and passively listen to it and move through the energies as quickly and effectively as possible by being an active component in moving through them? So it's beautiful when you understand how much these systems are there for you, right? You are connected. You are a part of spirit. It is always with you. It is within you. That spirit, soul, spark is you, right? And we're here to have this physical experience where we move with these things that feel like polar opposites: our masculine, our feminine, our mind and our thoughts, and our emotions and our body. Like, they're all perceived to be opposites, and yet they're what we're bringing into balance. Because as we bring them into balance and we find balance within ourselves, we bring balance to the world around us. And I don't know about you, but that I feel we would all really benefit from if there was a little more balance and harmony out in the world. But the only way to create that is to create some balance and harmony within our own world, our inner world, from within, so without, right? So for both, it ultimately comes down to the question, is it helping or is it hurting? So a thought that you're thinking, when you stop and you become aware of it, right? Doesn't matter how far down the train you are. When you come aware of that thought and you go, oh, wait, is this helping me or is this hurting me? If the answer is it's hurting you, then you need to put a stop to it. You need to stand up to it. You need to find that active component of yourself, and you need to stand up to that thought and declare what you do want. Now, when it comes to an emotion, same question. Is it helping or is it hurting? Right? And if it's hurting, then you need to listen to it. You need to use your mind to help interpret it and to understand where it's coming from, because that emotion is rooted somewhere in you. And it's rooted in something that doesn't serve you anymore. So when you can go into that emotion and you can allow the time and space for it to express itself to you, you will realize very quickly that it is something that you can transform, that you can acknowledge, yes, this is helping me. When I feel this way, this really helps. When I feel this way, it really hurts and it really makes things harder. Okay, so then how are we going to move through that emotion? How are we going to create some understanding? How are we going to have some compassion and care for that emotion so that we can get to the root of it? And yes, it is the part that takes a little bit longer, but it is the part that is the most fulfilling, because that is a part of the process of actually bringing something new into the physical, especially when it comes to wanting to feel better. If you want to feel better and you want to go from not feeling good to feeling good, there's a process. And yeah, it starts with those thoughts. Yeah, I'm going to feel better. This is great. I set my affirmations. I'm going to do it. Blah, blah. And you're going along, and then you start telling people like, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to do this. And, blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, it comes in and you realize like, oh man, if I really want to feel better, it's going to take actual work. I'm going to have to actually do something. I'm going to have to push for it. I'm going to have to want for it. I'm going to need to do some internal work to move out the things I don't want. And there's always a part of the process where you get to a point where you are faced with, I don't know where I'm going, because it's somewhere you've never been before. You're breaking out of a pattern. And so that point is where emotion really can take over, and we can find ourselves in those places where it doesn't feel so good. And so that is the moment in the whole process that is actually the most important. It is the most important for your mind to work for you, to support you, for your emotions to work through you, where you can acknowledge the places where you're not feeling good, and you can actually look at them and recognize them and feel them so that you can transmute them. You can move out of that and into what feels good and become, and it's like it goes back and forth, and then you suddenly realize, it switches. Yes, I'm more feeling good than not anymore. Woo, this is cool. This is great. But it really takes a willingness to move through the challenge and understanding how to use mindset and understanding how to interpret emotional state. Working with those two components, you can make it through anything. They are your greatest assets when you realize how much they are working for you and how much you have control and the ability to change the places that they're not. And yes, it's a process, and yes, it takes time, and it's almost like the idea of an onions and different layers. Yes, time and time again, but each time it gets easier. Not because the process gets easier, but because you know yourself better, because you're better at supporting yourself through it. You're better at knowing how you work and how you can move through it. Because ultimately, that's what it's all about. If I had to sum up what conscious creation truly is, it's you learning you on the inside so that you can create within you a state that feels good so it can be reflected. A state that feels balanced so it can be reflected. A state that feels safe and secure so it can be reflected. And ultimately, those emotions are you speaking to you. So learning to listen and using your mind to ask questions, to understand, to support, and really bringing that active component to the passive to support one another is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do. So that's our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back with another one in the future. Thank you.